Welcome to another episode of Godly Businesswoman. And in this episode, I am going to be interviewing my dear friend, Erin Miracle, who's got a faith-based film festival that I'm going to tell you about. But before I let her introduce herself, I want to be able to take this opportunity to introduce her to you. About 8 years ago, maybe 9 years ago, she was my neighbor when we lived somewhere completely different. And God allowed us to be essentially neighbors now. She lives just a city away. But when we lived farther away, we were neighbors. She kept inviting me to church, and I kept denying her because that was the last place that I would go. But I got to this point where things were going on, and she pressed me again to go to church, and I finally went to church. So this Erin Miracle is really a big part of my testimony of how God used her to pivot me and bring me to church. And in 2018, I was saved because of her. And God continues to bless our friendship, allow us to even work together and be together and still live like 15 minutes away. So God is really amazing. And my friend Erin is amazing. So thank you for taking the time. I know you're super busy, and I know that we're just a couple of months away from this festival. So let's start first. Just give us an introduction of who you are and then lead into your festival.
Sure. Well, I'm your friend and sister. Um, and I grew up in as a performer. So I started out in dance and musical theater. I always dreamed, I think, of like Gene Kelly, the actor, dancer, choreographer, director, producer. I think was one of the biggest inspirations to me because he just did it all. And so even as a little girl, while I loved performing, I also just imagined making movies and making plays and big productions and getting to work with a lot of people. But I mostly was dancing and acting and performing. I went to Cal Arts for dance and then transferred to AMDA for musical theater. And then I ended up moving to Chicago and started working professionally as in theater. And maybe we'll share more about my testimony later. But during that time, I ended up really coming to the Lord. I grew up Christian, but had an absolute supernatural encounter with him, and my whole life changed. And so I ended up going to seminary at the Lutheran School of Theology at Chicago, which was wonderful. I felt very, very comfortable there. And I really felt like I wanted to surrender my life to the Lord to find it. And so I surrendered kind of all of those dreams of being, in the business. And I literally and figuratively put my dance shoes and all that stuff under the bed. But God just kept showing me, I've given you these gifts and visions and dreams for a reason. And I would never in a million years change that I went to seminary. That shaped me more than I can say. But really, after so much prayer and discernment, that really felt like, nope, he's calling me back to the industry and to use, all of that education and experience in seminary. So I came back and was working again professionally. I got to be mentored by Janet Batchelor, who her and her husband wrote Batman Forever, Pompeii. I got connected with a faith-based sort of a production company. It was for the purposes of a particular church, but these were industry professionals, just incredible people, put creating these short films. And so I got to be mentored by her and Robert G. Lee, Nicole Bear, just inspiring Hollywood professionals that were also people of faith. And then I eventually I ended up realizing, well, as a performer, I don't have a whole lot of say or control. I wasn't loving the process. I wasn't loving the stuff that I had to audition for. There was just a lot of things that I didn't like about it. And so I thought, well, maybe I should start writing and directing. And I ended up going to Colorado Film School, where I actually also I studied producing. I went for writing and producing, and that's where I got to write and direct and produce my own short films, where I got to choose what was the content of the film and cast myself in it and dance and do all of those things. And those were both nominated. I was like, I think one of the only students that had both their first semester films nominated in the showcase. And those films went on to win some awards, and really gave me confidence, like, yes, I can do this. And then I ended up starring in a really terrible, not to say terrible, a very
Hmm.
low budget
Hmm.
film
Hmm.
that got into a festival in Vegas. And I just was like, I'm going to attend and do participate in everything that I can there. And so I did. I went to every red carpet, every panel, all of it, and just met all these people. And the director really noticed. And ultimately, he took me under his wing and taught me how to run a festival. So he gave me the opportunity to learn and have my first festival under the umbrella of his. And so behind the scenes, I got to learn how it all works. And also, I got to see over his 20 years of doing it, how much he cared for people and how people's lives were changed by this festival, and mine certainly was too. Um, and then he, during that first season, was at the height of COVID, and it was in Vegas with the Delta variant. He got COVID and went on a ventilator, and we all worked together to carry that festival on. And ultimately, he did pass away, which was very, very tragic. And I am so grateful to him and what he's given me. And then I ended up through connections I made at that festival, especially. As soon as I moved back to LA, I started producing. I was hired as a producer and just started producing, working as a producer on feature after feature after feature. And then in 2023, I held my second season of the film festival, this time completely independently. And that, Layla, you were there. It was amazing to see how in such a I put it on in about 3 months. Um, and we had amazing films that were submitted and a beautiful venue. And then I ended up producing several features after that. And after the most recent feature, I really was like, I want to pour into and scale the festival like never before. And so I didn't take on another feature and have just been building to make this festival huge. And God's just been blowing my mind with how he's opening doors and the people he's bringing to be involved.
That actually brings me to the next question I want to know. I know you personally, so I know and I've witnessed the miracles that are occurring as God works through you to create this festival. So what I want to know is, why do you think that God is has called you to do this? Number one. And number two, can you just share just a testimony or of how God is working through you and possibly other people?
Yes. My real last name is Miracle. And, I can't help but, believe that that is 100% my calling, is to help foster faith in miracles. And that is very much the heart behind the festival, is to encourage and build up and inspire faith that really does believe that miracles are possible, and invites people into the process of participating with God and how He makes miracles. We don't do it, but God has given us through faith and through His word and promises, calls us into this co-creation opportunity with him, and to participate with him in all that he does. And that sounds very glittery and kind of impossible, but I think the reality of believing in miracles and walking in faith is not an easy thing. That means um, when things look absolutely dead in the water, when things look impossible, when you are just crying and all the seeds you've planted don't seem to have sprouted at all, when doors are completely closed that you've worked so hard to open, and even things you believed for and prayed for, you don't see necessarily what you're hoping for or expecting. It's a commitment to faith. And my mom always reminds me of this the scripture where Jesus says, anyone who puts their hand to the plow and looks back is not fit for the kingdom. And that is a very hard core message. And that has been very much like at the root of this whole festival has been hearing that replay in my mind because there's so many times when we want to look back. But I've put my hand to the plow, and so there is no looking back, and thank God for that word and that promise. Because if I didn't have that going on in my head, I might have found a reason to turn around. And another thing I especially at the beginning was in Deuteronomy, and it was talking about God being so disappointed in the people for not believing in miracles. He's like, I've taken you out of Egypt. I've parted the sea. I have fed you from heaven. All of these miracles. You've seen them with your own eyes and you still don't believe. It's like you forget what I've done and you're not believing that I'm going to continue to do miracles. And so I did kind of a study throughout scripture where the Father or Jesus, is communicating just the heartbreak that he has for us when we don't remember the miracles he's done and expect totally amazing things to come. And that gave me like a whole new kind of license, like never before, to say, that's what you want from us. You want us to believe in unbelievable, hard to believe things and radical, amazing, supernatural miracles. So that's been amazing. And there's so many testimonies about that through this festival. I like it's hard to even count them all, but I will say one in particular, with the our venue. We um, the the venue is so beautiful and amazing, and we were very blessed to get that venue, and it felt like a mountain was kind of moved for that to be possible over and over again. There's we applied for a big city grant, and that looked like, we were just perfectly in line for that. And that was not how God has intended to fund us. So we are shifting to fundraising and we've applied to all kinds of other grants. But, you know, I think part of what started this avalanche of opportunity, I got connected with the Fellowship for Christian Athletes and saw this opportunity. Oh my goodness, we could, focus on some sports and faith films. And so I felt like this urgency, and I looked up, oh, what are the best faith and film sports films out, and saw Darren Mormon, Helen Believe. I also saw the film The Hill. And so that night I went on my IMDb Pro and kind of nervous and like, who am I? Reached out to them. And like the next day I heard back from them. And that step leap of faith and um, feeling so small and reaching out to people that are so big and getting the response that I did, man, that just also unlocked a whole new level. And one thing led to another. Bringing them on gave me courage to reach out more and also gave us, more value. And then another huge filmmaker and another and another and another and other huge nonprofits. All of that just kind of came from one little act of faith.
So you said something that was interesting. You touched on that God calls us, although you didn't end it this way, but essentially God calls us into different careers, different industries. And I think that there is so much, and even I had my reservations, even though I got a degree in communications, I also dabbled in the film industry. I was a journalist, but we see so much being exposed about the evils of Hollywood, right? About we know everything that they're talking about in Hollywood. So, but you were called, you still have skills, you still were a dancer, you can still produce films. So you're called into this industry that from the outside seems like a very evil industry, yet you are a Christian, you are a follower of Jesus Christ, you're a daughter of our and you're still working in that industry. So what I want to know is this, maybe touch a little bit on that. What is it like, touch upon how God might call us into politics or into Hollywood or into all of this. And then any advice for any Christians that might be, man, do I really want to get involved in that industry? And maybe how are you a light? How could you be a light in that industry?
Yeah. I love this question, and it brings me to point out one of the greatest organizations that I have been so blessed to become a part of, which is Hollywood Prayer Network, founded by Karen Koval, and with leadership from like Kelly Kirschenmann and so many others. This is an organization that's been around since 2021 or 2001, and I have only just gotten involved in like the last year. And I'm actually a chapter director for Brea. I have a Hollywood Prayer Network chapter director um, chapter. And when I first got connected, I really made it a priority that before I really launched this new season, when I finally heard about Hollywood Prayer Network, I researched it and thought, I want to get plugged into this first and really get deep into prayer. And I watched all of these videos that she had recorded and articles, and I really listened to the founder. And the way that she spoke about their mission and Hollywood is she calls it Hollywood is not a Sodom and Gomorrah, but it's a Nineveh. It's a redeemable place with redeemable people. And she talks about how even the church, can sometimes really fail Hollywood because it is very easy and natural to look at it as pure, as evil and this terrible, wicked thing and that's really not what we're called to do and not really appropriate. God is the creator and we are made in his image. And Hollywood and entertainment is this awesome thing that God has given us uh, to reach people, to create, to inspire, to storytell. I mean, Jesus is the greatest storyteller ever. And so we don't want to look at Hollywood, I think, in a way where we turn our backs or we condemn it. Um, I think that there is so much opportunity there. There's also what I've found and what's very much at the heart of Hollywood Prayer Network. There are a lot of Christians that are working in Hollywood on maybe secular projects where they're not necessarily exclusively Christian. Do we want them to not be involved in those projects? I think we do. I think we need to be salt and light. So we want believers wherever we can have them. That's going to make an impact to have prayerful, faithful people that are indwelled by the Holy Spirit in every corner of the world. That's how the body of Christ, that's how God, is bringing his kingdom by having us there as salt and light and praying wherever we are. So I think that made such a shift and being involved in Hollywood Prayer Network, I cannot encourage anybody enough to be a part of it, whether you're in the industry or not. If you are, it is like just the best organization, the networking opportunities, the ability to get connected with all of these people, the events is so amazing. But also, if you're not, and you're somebody who cares about the impact that Hollywood has and entertainment has, to unite in prayer regularly, or just participating where you can. The power of prayer, we cannot underestimate it. It is the like most powerful thing we have, and I have seen that a million times. And being a part of this prayer network for Hollywood with industry folks, yeah, has been one of the best things I've done.
Well, I guess I want to ask you two other questions. Number one, do you have any type of a vision for how Hollywood, I don't want to say shifting, but maybe influence of Christians? Because now I would say that you're highly connected to a network of Christians in Hollywood, and you've been in this industry practically your whole life. Do you see any hope, any changes? Mhm.
Yes, man, I've seen like just amazing things. So, The Chosen, that was the most effective crowd-funded project, I think the biggest crowd-funded project like ever. And The Chosen really has changed the game. And also during COVID. So what we're seeing with streaming as well. So not just in faith film, but in film in general, what I see as I am mostly and have always been an independent filmmaker. Um, what I've seen is previously, studios really monopolized the industry. And with, for example, movies, it really, to get your movie out, you kind of needed a theatrical release. And in order to do that, about 50% of your budget, whatever that amount was, you needed that additionally, like to do a theatrical release. The cost of doing a theatrical release and all of the marketing was so extraordinary that how small filmmakers could make that happen, pretty much eliminated a huge majority of filmmakers from being able to ever afford that. And so the studios, they got to have kind of the most control. So when streaming started to pop up, that meant that there was more platforms and more access. So an independent filmmaker had the opportunity to get a film, produced and put on and shared across, internationally on a streaming platform that didn't require them to pay for a theatrical release. Um, with The Chosen, they did it a different model than how traditionally Hollywood films are made. So they crowdfunded. And what that revealed was the market for faith and family friendly content around the world was so huge. And they didn't have to depend on, the gatekeepers of Hollywood. They just did it on their own, and look at what it has done and look at the audience. I mean, as cliche as it sounds, I mean, I think it's the best show of all time, for so many reasons. And that has just snowballed. So there's other examples of that. I mean, The Passion of the Christ truly is like, you know, just mind-blowing to see how successful that was. And again, it's because the audience for these films internationally is so massive. But things like The Sound of Freedom was similar in that it did not go the traditional Hollywood route. It did it very independently and it broke the box office. And so what's happened too are studios like Kappa Studios, which we are so blessed that Brad Silverman, the chief content officer at Kappa Studios, they do the post-production for The Chosen and so many other amazing faith and family friendly films. He's going to be speaking at our festival on opening night on September 2nd. Um, they have branched out, they were kind of small. They do The Chosen, so they kind of came up together and now, I mean, they have a distribution arm of their company. They are just growing. I'm seeing faith and family friendly distributors, companies coming up everywhere. And Eccles, we're so proud to be sponsored by Eccles Entertainment. Um, and and Dave Meacham, he's going to be speaking at our festival. He's going to be at the festival. He's offered a streaming distribution opportunity for our top film, and they just launched their streaming platform like just last week. So yeah, I think what we see is that the audience for this content is so big, and then the way technology has gone, and the doors have kind of opened. And it's not as, I mean, I do think that in the faith and family friendly world, especially, we're just kind of skyrocketing. Companies are skyrocketing and on this trajectory that is just like never before. And so it's just awesome to be a part of it.
So let's talk about this festival in terms of how it is a ministry, but I want to focus on two different areas. How is your festival a ministry and what it can do for somebody's personal relationship with God? It is international, so let's keep that in mind. And number two, how is it a ministry and how can it help an existing Christian in the industry, possibly in their career?
Yes, one thing that makes us unique, there aren't a whole lot of Christian film festivals or what faith-based. But I think there's even fewer that have very intentionally open categories. So we do that because one, we don't want to be just Christians for Christians. I don't see how that, yes, I'm really glad that there are those kinds of festivals, but we want to invite everyone and we want to have open categories. Just like I mentioned with Hollywood Prayer Network, there are people that are working on secular films. And not every film, has to be blaringly Christian to have a huge impact. And we also see that sometimes there can be a little bit of a different standard. Um, so we want to bring really high quality films that maybe aren't from exclusively Christians that are fantastic, impactful films so that we can challenge one another. Like we can be inspired by profound art that is also uplifting. And we want to bring one another in conversation. So that is part of our mission is uh yeah, to get people to come together and communicate. And also we know that the idea of Christian content can be so cringy to people. So we're very intentionally trying to curate types of films and content that may appeal to people that wouldn't necessarily ever want to watch Christian content and bring them all together in one space to say or to highlight and spotlight these films that we think more general audiences would actually appreciate to say, wait, maybe Christian movies aren't all as cringy as we think that they are. Um, so that's part of our mission too. And yes, all of our selections in one way or another, I think inspire faith and hope. And of course, we want to point people through storytelling and through great creative art um, to the truth, which is that God loves us, that He sent His Son to save us, um, and yeah, that really all He calls us to is faith in Him. I mean, that is the most important thing. So. But also just on a more practical level, we want to provide great entertainment and family-friendly entertainment and opportunities for families to come together and be uplifted together, but also career-changing opportunities. So that's why we're so excited that we have at this ECHL distribution prize. There's other distributors. There's huge industry leaders, the educational panels, the opportunities to network. You cannot underestimate. I mean, really, honestly, the majority of my successes in my career and career opportunities have come from festivals, from just being like at a festival. I haven't even had work in all of them. Just attending and networking is huge. So yes, we want to actually help people in their careers to create opportunities and We know that this season is going to be like no other in that regard.
So, share with us a little bit about what people can expect. There's actually a lot of people that have never even been to a film festival. And since it is open, there's going to be a lot of families with children that are going to go. What can they expect? What is it going to look like?
So it is September 2nd through the 6th in beautiful Newport Beach, California. We really wanted it to be a destination experience that is leading up to Labor Day. So we also wanted to make it kind of like a great idea for your holiday weekend. Um, it is so 4 days are in the theater. The last day is going to be an awards show gala, and that's going to be in the evening on Sunday. We want people to go to church during the morning, so we're not going to have screenings. We also want people to enjoy being in Newport Beach, so exploring maybe some of the tourist fun opportunities. But Wednesday through Saturday are screenings, and we've got two theaters, so we'll have multiple screenings going on. And there's going to be short films, there's going to be feature films, there's going to be those educational panels. A lot of the filmmakers are coming. I know we expect to have like Martin Sheen. The Erin Elizabeth Cook is the writer producer of a movie called The One, and it is about a young foster youth aging out of the foster care system. So their film is going to be screening on opening night, and Noah Redclay, Olivia Sanabia, Nick Zano, Jana Kramer, and Martin Sheen. Those are some of the stars of the film, and I believe a lot of them are going to be there. So that's an opportunity to see them, hear the Q&A. We of course we'll have red carpets every day. We want to give everybody the spotlight. So bring your kids, get great photos on the red carpet. We've been blessed. I was in the middle of praying one day, and a woman that has helped with the Newport Beach Film Festival, and she does events, saw us on the Chamber of Commerce website and said, "Faith-based film festival, how can I help? Do you need a yacht for free?" So the whole festival, we have a yacht where we can host interviews. We just partnered with Kids in the Spotlight. I really have been praying about this for like a month and trying to connect. Finally got connected. They work with inner city foster youth to create short films. And so we've given them like a whole block of screenings on opening night, especially since The One is so relevant since it's about a foster youth. But we're going to get to screen a whole bunch of their short films. We're going to invite them to host, they have a podcast, invite them to host a podcast on the yacht, get them on the red carpet, just celebrate them. So every day kind of has a little bit of a theme. The Saturday is going to be kind of all day. And we've got veterans programming. We've got Nate Boyer, who's a former NFL player and decorated Green Beret, that Layla, you facilitated that connection. He's just an amazing person, an amazing filmmaker. He will be screening his beautiful documentary, D-Day Plus 80, and he's also going to host a panel. And there's a big Jimmy Stewart film coming out with an initiative to give away 1 million tickets, free tickets to veterans. Jimmy Stewart and his movie It's a Wonderful Life is my mom and my dad's, my late father's, and my favorite film. This film looks amazing. It's directed by Aaron Burns, and it looks like we'll have some of the cast and crew. Their film release is coming out, I think, in November. So we'll probably just have select scenes, but we'll get to hear about the film. So we've got a lot of veterans programming and celebrations and a little like other short films related. And then later in the evening, we're gonna kind of do the faith and sports stuff. So we've got Darren Moorman of Reserve Entertainment screening. We're doing a special screening of Helen Believe. He will be speaking with David Russick, who is this tech leader, and talking about kind of distribution and new opportunities on the horizons. We've also got The Hill, starring Dennis Quaid by Jeff Calentano. Yeah, I could go on forever. There's so much stuff. So you can expect great movies, great networking, glitz and glam, beautiful location, and amazing filmmakers and educational stuff. And yeah, I think just the presence of the Lord.
Okay, I'm going to put relevant links in the description, but is there any one immediately that you're looking for? Anything that you need? Anything that's on your heart to share?
Yeah, I mean, well, we want to get tickets out to you guys. We want you to come. And tickets are very much discounted right now. We have a family pass where it's for up to four immediate family members because we really do want families to come. So definitely get your tickets before they sell out. Um, and we do want to, we've made it to where the best value are going to be sort of the all week passes because there's so much stuff you wouldn't want to, buy a single ticket and then realize, oh, I want to come and see this and this and this. You might as well just get the best value. But to be honest, we could definitely use some donations and we're doing some fundraising. We have been very blessed to have a fiscal sponsor. So Grateful Film Fund fiscally sponsors us. That allows us to operate as a nonprofit and receive tax deductible donations. Also, we've applied to grants. And if you go to our donor box link, you'll see we've created options. So you could donate and get a whole bunch of single screening tickets. So let's say you're a church or you're a community organization or you want to get a whole group of people to come. You can donate and based on the amount you can get a bunch of free tickets so you can come as a big group and that fair market value is deducted, and then you get the rest totally tax deductible. Or we have options for just a regular donation. And yeah, it's not easy to ask for donations, but we have been giving, so many free submissions and free tickets and just wanting to give as much as we possibly can. And that helps us to do that. That helps us to invite the nonprofits, invite audiences, give more back to the community. So, we just all want to help each other out.
Friend, any last words, anything else that's in your heart that you feel that we missed?
I mean, the last words are just these movies and these filmmakers. Like, I have goosebumps. Like, they're so good. Some of them will make you laugh, some of them will make you cry, some of them will do both. They're they're the kinds of movies that you can invite anyone to. Um, and we just want to, yeah, we want you to see them. We want people to see how good these movies are and also get connected. Like, um, there's fewer and fewer opportunities for us to be physically in spaces together, um, and to have so many people from around the country and around the world with so much excitement and good stuff going on. We just want you to be there.
Amen. Well, thank you so much, my friend. I really appreciate your time. And my prayer is that God continues to bless you and guide you and lead you, open the doors that He wants to be open, close the doors that He doesn't want you to walk through, and that this video goes out and reaches the people that need to hear it, get inspired, and reach out to you because I already know you talking. I'm full of chills. I'm so excited. I'm so blessed to be a part of it. I think it's so amazing, and I can't wait to be there. So, thank you, everybody. Thank you so much, friend. And I'll
Oh
talk
yeah,
to you
one last
soon.
thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Our Check out our proud sponsor, Top Financial Agency. We love them and we're so grateful.
Oh, thank you, my friend. Okay, guys. So I'll see you soon. Bye.